Working Man Investor. Today's video, 7 rules for building financial freedom. So these 7 rules are rules that I'm currently using. As the name of my podcast says, Working Man Investor, I still have my W-2 job. However, these rules have allowed me to get myself into a financial situation to where my wife is retired, and if I did lose my job, I wouldn't be one of those people sitting out in my parking lot crying, wondering what I was going to do next. I have built other streams of income, and I'm well on my way to financial freedom. So I just want to share these rules with you, along with give you a little bit of background story about me and how I've used them as an example to hopefully help some other people continue to move forward. So the first rule that I started off with was never stop learning and investing in yourself. This is key. Before you do anything, before you buy a stock, before you buy a rental property or anything, I think you need to take some time and start learning. Read books. You want to learn the difference between an asset and a liability. You need to understand that it's important to have money left over at the end of the month to put into assets. Those assets can be an ETF, they can be a mutual fund, they can be a Roth IRA, they can be a fund you're saving to buy your first rental property. They can be anything, but the key is to, as you're learning, to continue to just invest in yourself, watching podcasts, reading books, and going to investor meetups. Real estate investor meetups are in every area. You Google that. You might want to start attending that. They're usually pretty cheap. Start networking and talk to people. You may even find a mentor like I did when you go to these groups that could really help you out. And then the second rule is develop a money mindset. This goes hand in hand with rule number 1. As you start to understand money and how it works, the difference between monetary policy and physical policy. Monetary policy is set by the Federal Reserve. Physical policy is what our government does, and that monetary policy is the one you really want to watch. You'll learn stuff like that, but as you're developing a money mindset, you'll just start to see the world differently. You'll start to view your job differently. One thing I did with my job and my attitude changed is I didn't wake up anymore saying, oh God, I got to go to work today. I woke up saying I get to go to work today. That shift in mindset, and then every dime that I'm making here at work that's left over after I pay my bills is going in to buy assets to protect myself and my family. Every asset you buy is like a wall. I want you to think about a big fence around your house, a financial fence. The more assets you have, whether it's rental properties or dividend-paying stocks, your emergency fund, your side hustle, whatever, that puts money in your pocket every month outside of your job is like a big wall you're building up around your family. So if you lose your job, this wall still keeps the debt collectors out and the financial emergencies away, and keeps the stress level down in your life. And it'll help your marriage. Most marriages end based off of financial disagreement. So if you can follow these 7 rules and discuss them with your spouse and get on the same wave and same attitude, it should help your marriage. It certainly has helped mine. I've been with my wife for 23 years and still going strong. And a lot of it is really because at the very beginning it was rough, but we got on board, and then when things hit the fan and she saw that we were protected financially, and then she was eventually able to retire when things got really bad at work, she could walk away. And it wasn't just because I have a good job. It was because we had other assets, rental property, putting money in our pocket. It was my financial education and my money mindset, and hers too, that allowed that. So those are the first 2. Never stop investing in yourself. Never stop learning something new. And develop a money mindset. Understand that money is simply a weapon. You want to weaponize money to protect you and your family. Like you have a bunch of guns around your house to protect your family from an intruder breaking in. That's fine, but a lot of people do that, and then they're living paycheck to paycheck because every dime they have left over at the end of the month, they get together and decide what they want to spend it on instead of what they want to invest it in. So then you got all this firearms around your house to protect yourself if somebody breaks into your house, but then you're on a financial island. That's not good. You want to cover all your bases. So money mindset. So the third thing is, while you're doing this and while you're building this money mindset, I want you to start eliminating bad debt. such as credit card debt. That is the number one thing. Use the Dave Ramsey snowball method, I believe. That's the best way. You look at all of your monthly bills at the end of the month, your credit cards, and the one that you owe the least amount on. So say you have 3 credit card bills, one for $10,000, one for $5,000, one for $3,000. Go ahead and make the minimum on the 2 higher one, and any dime you have left over at the end of the month, don't invest it yet, unless it's like on a book or something like that on yourself. Put it on that $3,000 bill and start eliminating that. So once you've eliminated that, then I want you to build up an emergency fund. So an emergency fund is between 6 to 8 months of your expenses, monthly expenses, in case you lose your job. Now, it's important when you build this emergency fund up, you put it somewhere. Don't leave it in your regular checking account. One, because if you're still developing a money mindset, you might be motivated to spend it on a liability while it's sitting there instead of an asset. The other reason is inflation is just going to eat it alive. So what I do with my emergency fund is I put it into an ETF called SGOV, SGOV. That is ran by BlackRock. And what they do is they invest in T-bills, which are treasuries from the United States government, 1 to 3 month T-bills. So say you put $30,000 into SGOV. What it does, it'll pay you a monthly dividend off of an interest rate, which I think right now is about 4.7%. It changes every month based on the rate of short-term debt, T-bills. And that will, what I do then is I set it up to reinvest. So say it pays me a $200 dividend at the end of the month, it'll then take all that back and buy more T-bills. So my emergency fund is actually growing that way. I'm continuing to keep my emergency fund ahead of inflation. That's key. That's SGOV. Again, now I'm not giving financial advice. I'm not a certified financial planner. Don't take the advice off of some random guy you just found on YouTube. I'm just telling you what I do. What works for me may not work for you. But I have found SGOV, which you can buy. It's an ETF. You can buy it off of Vanguard, off of any one of those E-Trade, any one of those online trading sites. And it's a good place to stick money. I like it because it's liquid, guys. So say you lose your job, you can get right on your phone, onto the app and liquidate. Sell all of your ETF, your SGOV. It'll take an hour or so to sell, but then you'll have the money in your account and you can transfer it into your checking account so that you have it to pay bills. So it's liquid. When the market's open, you can dump it. On weekends, no, but you probably won't need it on the weekend. But it's really liquid. Good way to fight inflation with your emergency fund. And then once you're doing that, once you've got your credit card debt paid off, your student loans, all bad debt paid off, and you've got an emergency fund somewhere, now you can start thinking about where you want to invest and the multiple streams of revenue. You need to build multiple streams of revenue. So like for me, I have rental property. I have a ETF that pays dividend every 3 months. I buy individual stocks and I'm able to sit in them for a while and sometimes make money, sometimes lose a little bit, but overall I'm ahead and then sell it. My wife has a small business, a small craft show business. She took a side hustle. She liked to make wreaths that you hang on the door. She made a bunch of them. We started doing craft shows. It's nothing to get rich off of, but it does put money in our pocket every single month that could be used to pay a few bills. So you want to look for multiple streams of revenue, and this is where you want to start to develop your investor strategy and what asset class you're most interested in. It can be rental property, it can be dividend-paying stocks, it can be cryptocurrency, it can be anything like that. But I like rental property and dividend-paying stocks simply because it puts money in my pocket every month. It cash flows. So you don't want to just rely on just your job. So there's people that just rely on their job, and then you might have an emergency fund. Some people do, but then you lose your job. It takes you 8 months to find a job, and you've eaten away your emergency fund. That's depressing. So you really want something coming in every month to help you pay the bills and stay ahead while you're looking for another job. Then next, you never want to increase your expenses with that income. So what does that mean? When we bought our fourplex, And we bought our fourplex, and then we also had a condo that we had owned. It was our first property. We started to rent that one out, bought the fourplex. So those 5 rental properties, all I do with that money is I just keep reinvesting it. I don't take it at this time and then go on a $20,000 vacation at the end of the year. I'm saving all that money, and I'm looking to take that money and put it to work in other asset classes because I'm still in growth mode despite the fact that my wife's retired, but I want to get to my financial freedom where I can retire. Only way to do that, buy assets, avoid liabilities. So now I will get to the point where I take that money and we take a vacation or whatever we want to do, buy a nice car, whatever we want to do, and we'll start enjoying that money. But for this stage, when you're going through and you're building wealth, you do not want to take extra money that you have and go buy an asset, a liability. Don't go buy a brand new car with your money that you made. You want to find another investment for it and keep building it. It takes a lot of discipline. It could take about a decade to really get financial freedom. And it's rough. It's hard to do. But it beats that feeling out of living day to day and worried about losing your job. I work with people like that, and they say, I don't know what I would do if this place shuts down. I don't want the place to shut down, but I'm not ruined if it does. I can go take a 50% pay cut and still be just fine and still continue to build wealth and continue to stay on my path towards financial freedom. That wouldn't be ideal. I wouldn't want that to happen. But it can, and everybody can get themselves in this situation. Not everybody can be a multi-billionaire. Not everybody can be a multi-millionaire. But all of us can get to that point where we have developed some type of a side hustle, some type of an investment that puts money in our pocket every month so we're not living paranoid and check to check. That's where I want to get everybody to. Once you get that, you're going to have the right money mindset, and you're going to have the ability to pursue other avenues of revenue, which you'll figure out on your own just by continuing to educate yourself. And then finally, the last one, this one's kind of obvious. Don't waste money trying to impress people. If you got people in your lives that you think are your friends and they're telling you to take that money that you're making and buy nice things, they might be good people, but they're not the people you want to be associating with necessarily. The people that I associate with, if I were to take my money from my investments and then buy something dumb with it, they'd look at me sideways. What are you doing, man? You're on a path to financial freedom. We're all motivating each other. We're all pushing each other to move forward in life. When you buy that brand new BMW now that you could do a couple years down the line, you're setting yourself back, because you could have taken that money and put it towards another rental property. Then in 2 or 3 years, bought that BMW all cash because you would have enough assets and you'd be ready to retire from your job. So don't waste your time trying to impress people. If people are impressed by your money, you don't need them in your life. Now, if you meet people that are impressed by the way you invest and want to learn, yes, teach them. Those are the people you want in your life too. It's those people that's your way to give back. Making money isn't about greed. I started this channel because it's about giving back. I'm not claiming to be some multimillionaire. I am a working man investor, just like my title. But I've learned a few things about financing. I've had successful investments that are paying dividends now that I've said, have put my family in a very good position. I have a very thick, tall financial wall built around my family. So you can do that too, if I can do that. You're listening to a guy who, senior year in high school, I was no good student. I flunked Algebra 1. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm proud of it. Proud of the fact that I rejected the standard education just because it never felt right to me. I just felt like it wasn't teaching me what I needed and what I was interested in. What I was interested was finances, but not being a financial advisor that makes commissions off of selling you portfolios of stocks. That's not what I want to do. I want to share my journey, and I want to push you along your own journey and give you the tools to succeed on your journey. If the working man investor is doing this, you sure can too, because I am no smarter than you. I guarantee you that. That's what I got for you today. Hope that helps. Working man investor, keep grinding, people.